welcome back here on my channel. Today we are talking about physical collecting, digital collecting, and I have one of the most perfect guests for that here, Dr. Strange. Welcome. Great to have you here.
Oh man, awesome. Thanks for having me, Yan. It's a pleasure to finally connect with you here and talk collecting, man. I love it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. But before we dive into the collecting part, just give a quick introduction of yourself. So, what should people know about you if you have like a couple of sentences to describe yourself?
Mm. Well, my name is Dokta Strange, known throughout different communities. I'm an MC, hip hop recording artist, digital content creator, and now I'm an official VeVe affiliate as well. So yeah, I do a little bit of everything. I have a YouTube channel called All Things Strange. I mainly like to cover the comic books dropping on the VeVe app, particularly Marvel. But if there's something else out there that catches my eye, I'll cover that as well. And yeah, other than that, man, I'm all over the place. I'm in Twitter X Spaces all the time. I co-host a space every Sunday with Osmond Collects. We're just on a little break right now for summer while he's moving. But yeah, we like to talk collecting and connecting with the community. And that's pretty much my passion, man. My channel's not monetized. I'm under 1,000 subscribers like you, and I've been doing this 3 4 years. I started my channel in the bear market,
Hmm.
and while everyone was popping up with YouTube channels, I was just more of a supporter. I'm always a supporter, whether
Yeah.
I'm in this space or not. I'm always going to support people. And I was part of a couple of Telegram groups, and one in particular was Crypto Pro, and had a couple of people that I knew through YouTube chats and stuff like that. And they always, once the comics came to the app, nobody really in there was like real life collectors. A lot of people
Hmm.
were very young, or they were just new to collecting in general. So they're like, "Is Marvel Comics one a good comic to get?" I'm like,
That
"Well, what
was
do you
me. That
think?"
was me. Honestly, I've been in the app and I didn't even go try to get the drop.
Exactly.
But
So what ended up happening was I was kind of like, well, first of all, Crypto Pro made me the mod of the channel, the Telegram group. So of course I had to police, nefarious bots and all types of people coming
hmm.
in, dropping all this token and crypto stuff. And so other than that, whenever they would announce a comic drop, the people would just come to me like, yo, what's the deal with this? It's like 60,000 mints. Should I even go for it? And all this different stuff. So at the time, Crypto Pro he had a YouTube channel. He was one of the first YouTubers to cover VeVe, from like
Hmm.
the crypto space. It was him and Taps Trades, and
Yeah.
we actually went back to see who made the first video for VeVe, and
Okay.
they actually uploaded the same day. So they are literally the first two to cover
Yeah.
VeVe. But he just kept telling me, yo, you need to make your own YouTube channel. I'm like, nah, I don't want to be a YouTuber. Like, I'm not really trying to be on camera and do all that stuff. But honestly, it just became such a repetitive thing. And then you're like trying to be a service to people and answer questions. But when the questions are the same questions, you're just like, all right, maybe I need to make one video. That
Yeah.
way everybody could and that's just how it started and it grew from there. But yeah, that's pretty much the passion, man.
But it sounds like that you started collecting comics in the physical space. Is it right? Because the people came to you to ask about those first comics dropping on VV.
Yeah, yeah. I started collecting, man, as a kid, early '80s. I had before collecting, I just had toys. We were in that era
Hmm.
of toys. Video games weren't really a big thing. I did have a PC at home. I had a Commodore 64. My father had a VIC 28. And, we were playing, games at that time, but the big thing in that era was comics, sports cards, and then your action figures or your toys.
Hmm.
So some of the first toys I started collecting were GI Joes. That was the main
Yeah.
thing. Then Transformers, your GoBots, all that stuff. But even before that, I remember collecting garbage pail kid cards. You
What
know,
kind of what kind of cards?
so back in those times, you had Cabbage Patch Kids. They
Yeah.
were dolls. So offshoot of that, and this IP is on VeVe right now. It's called Garbage Pail Kids.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a spoof, type of
Yeah, yeah.
offshoot of it, right? So they started off as actual cards, and they were like stickers you could peel off. But a lot of people would just keep the card intact, and yeah, it was a whole thing in the community where people would collect these, and have these big stacks, and it was, how big your stack was would
Hmm.
show, all this stuff. So
A little flexing.
yeah, that was the flex,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So yeah, man, and then comics was my thing, man. I was more of a reader too, back then. Like I got more into a mode of collecting now without reading, but back
yeah.
then I was a reader, you know.
Do you remember your first comic,
Um,
or which was like the first comic which like where it like clicked for you that you were like, okay, I'm now a comic fan.
um, I don't remember what it was that per se clicked. I think just in general, the whole, because the thing was, it's like back then you would be at a certain age where you knew comics existed, but you were so young you didn't have any money yet, so you couldn't
Hmm.
partake. So it wasn't till you either was of working age or your parents gave you an allowance or you figured something out that
Yeah.
you have a couple of cents or dollars to go to your stationery store or your comic shop to grab your comic. So this is where trading was a big thing back then, because you may not have comics, but your parents might have picked up a couple of packs of cards from the
Hmm.
store, and then you have cards. So you might have a Patrick Ewing or a Jordan, and now that's your pathway into getting to some comics. So things were just different back then, but I can't remember per se any particular book that was the first one or anything. I might have gotten a stack of books as my first book.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't remember, but I'll
And
tell
then
you
you
the one thing
worked
that,
your
like,
way through them, right?
yeah, and then
Yeah.
you kind of like see what resonates with you. Like Doctor Strange, for example. Doctor Strange, not until recently became popular because his books were a hard read. You,
Hmm.
especially as a kid, your vocabulary is limited. So you're sitting there reading this stuff, and he's like, to the gates of Shambhala hell, I'll send you and cast you with all of these spells and naming all of it. And you're like, what is
Yeah.
he talking about?
Yeah.
And
Okay. Got it.
same
Hmm.
thing with Thor. Thor was a hard read. Where art thou and wilt's this to be? And you're like, nah, I don't want to read Shakespeare right now. I'm good on
Yeah.
that. Like, I'll
Yeah.
go to school if I want to read Shakespeare. So that's where, your street level characters resonated, like your Daredevils and your Punishers. You could relate to that more. Like, okay, this is not some crazy, mystical, cosmic character way out in some dimension. This is guy located in Hell's Kitchen in New York. Like, I could
Hmm.
identify with that. So I like street level characters, but then, you know, your X-Men, your Wolverine, all of that was definitely like that was my thing. But one of the first comics I remember collecting, because a thing about collecting too is, like, let's say you don't have access to a comic book store, and let's say it's your first time with some money in your pocket, and you're like, I'm gonna go to that stationery store and buy whatever comics on the rack.
Hmm.
Even if you picked up 5 or 6 different titles, you're most likely picking up a book that's already in the middle of some sort of run. So
Hmm.
now you're sitting there like trying to piece together what happened beforehand, and now what you could do is keep going back to that rack every other week and hope that they drop the next issue. So for me, what I got into, like my first thing I seriously collected was Punisher War Journal, and that was just simply because I was already familiar with Punisher, which was already an ongoing solo series, and then he was making appearances in other books, Spider-Man here and there and stuff. But Punisher War Journal came out in a time where it was the first one, so it was like I showed up one day to the comic thing expecting just to see Punisher, and then I saw Punisher War Journal #1. I'm like, what's this? So
Hmm.
that was something I was able to collect a run, you know, and I collected like Punisher War Journal 1 to like probably 20 something before I stopped.
Do you still have them?
No, I don't have anything that I collected or owned since I was a kid. I managed to keep everything and lug it around with me from college to different apartments, houses I've owned, different stuff. But then at one point I had moved to Florida, and I had moved back to New York. And basically, I hired a moving company, and they ended up not being on the up and up, and they did a transportational theft. So I lost, yeah, everything. I mean,
Shoot.
literally everything. Photo albums, mother's ashes, everything in one shot.
Yeah.
Clothes, everything, So yeah, so that pretty much took the wind out of my sails in collecting. I mean, yeah, with collecting, because I was already an adult, and it's one thing to bring all that stuff from the past with you, but
Yeah.
to, at that point, go out your way to collect. And I was still trying to just get my footing with a place to live, back on my feet with a job. I had just moved and lost everything. I'm like, collecting really isn't in the forefront of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
my thing.
Got.
But then, several years later, I was in a better place. But then COVID hit, and just like everybody else was stuck at home, you
Mm.
start seeing this stuff put in your face, and you're like, damn, I had that book, and now it's going for what? Like, and for me, it was different because a book that I bought for $1.75 and had kept in pristine condition for all those years, that same raw book, people wanted me to pay $19 for it and not even be able to hold it and really know its condition. And I'm like, there's no way I'm getting back into collecting. Like, all the stuff that I had as a kid is like what's popping now. So that
Mm.
showed me I knew what stuff to collect. Like, I had an idea that, like, at one point I was buying two books, and stuff like that.
A gut feeling, right?
Yeah, gut feeling. And I would
Hmm.
buy two books because I'm like, I don't, I was very careful and meticulous when I used to read my books, like even bringing them from the store home. Like, I had an idea as a kid that, like, you want to keep this stuff as good as possible. Even off the
Mm.
rack, I would try to go through the books and avoid any of them with spine ticks and any creases. Like, I was crazy, and collecting wasn't really part of the culture yet. Like, not young kids in the 80s, like, we weren't thinking about collecting, but I was that one kid that was. So
Yeah.
it really took the wind out of my sails to lose all my stuff in one
Yeah.
swoop,
Totally get it. Totally
you
get
know.
it.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, you discovered VeVe. How did that happen?
Yeah, so at the time I was on Twitter. What it was I was actually I had been playing daily fantasy sports for a couple of years leading up to this. So basically, I was playing daily fantasy sports and not really good at it for a while. I was losing a lot of money, but I really
Hmm.
enjoyed it because I know sports, I know players, I know a lot with sports. And I was just like, damn, I need to figure this out. And then what I started doing was, when a contest would end, I would notice that there were like certain names that I would always see at the top. Like, if they didn't outright win first place, they would always be at the top. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, they know something that I don't know. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So something told me to try and find these people. So I would like take down all the names, over time. And then I started going on like Instagram, trying to find them, Facebook. And basically I found most of them on Twitter. They were on X.
Hmm.
And basically I just started reaching out to them. They were really cool, and then they brought me in my first Twitter group, which was actually a group of people that were, either individuals that were really good at playing, like these guys I found, and then what you also had is what's called like lineup providers. So basically, in daily fantasy sports, you're trying to submit a lineup. Like, let's say it's a couple of basketball games being played that
Hmm.
night. You're trying to play the role of a GM and fill all your roster spots with a certain salary. So we all have the same salary, and we're all working with the same pool of players that are priced at different prices every night. The prices might change on the
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
So basically, there are people who want to play, they want to be in action, but they work or they're busy, or, because it takes a lot of research, honestly, and data crunching to really figure out the
To
best
nail it.
player
To
you're
nail it.
able.
Yeah.
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 So I had statisticians on my side, this is before AI and all that stuff, but I had a guy
Hmm.
that was a beast with statistics, and that's what was making him rise to the top of the ranks. And I basically corralled all these guys together, different entities together, and we broke off from the main group, and then we became lineup providers ourselves.
Hmm.
So in that whole sphere of becoming lineup providers and having our own group, a lot of those guys in there, they were into trying to find different investments and things like that. So crypto
Mm-hmm.
was a new thing, NFTs was a new thing, all this stuff was new. So one of the first things that they brought, one of the guys in the group brought in was Top Shot that had just came out. We're
Yeah.
obviously all into sports, and then we're all trying to figure out this NFT space and something we can collect, something where we could also make some money and buy some other things we want to get into. So we all got into Top Shot, and the next thing I know, I think it was February. It was around February or March. One of them that was into crypto said that they found VeVe because they found Omi. So
Mm-hmm.
me, I was not really into crypto like that. Like if it wasn't
Yeah.
on Coinbase, I wasn't trying to touch it because I'm in New York, so the regulations are crazy,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to deal with VPNs and all this other extra risky stuff on top of it already being risky. So um, they said, yeah, this is, a project that looks like it has like premium licensed collectible like NFTs or whatever.
If you're new to VeVe and haven't signed up yet, it would really mean a lot to me if you do so with my affiliate link. Through that, you are not just supporting me, you also get 10 gems for free to kick off your digital collecting journey and grab your first digital collectible. And now, back to the video.
And all the stuff I was seeing at the time, I wasn't impressed, and I didn't believe in as far as like in the NFT space at that time, like crypto punks and a lot of the 8-bit type of PFP projects were the big thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I did see, the space start growing as far as like people doing music and attaching animations, different art and stuff. But the thing that always rubbed me the wrong way is I'm like, you guys are all jumping into a quote unquote NFT project. The artwork is not even distinguishable from another project. I'm like, you don't even know who's drawing this stuff or making it exist. You don't know who
Yeah.
the people are in the company. I'm like, I couldn't comprehend investing in something like that. And once rug pulls started becoming a thing more and more, it just solidified my belief in what VeVe was doing with, licensed premium collectibles. And it actually made me feel a little more comfortable with them not allowing us to just take it off the app and
Mm-hmm.
making it the, way everything else is. And at the same time, I got caught up when they hired a new security team at the time. One of my account got locked up,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that was one of those things that caused a little shockwave through the community because that's most people's fear with it not being something that you could
Yeah.
take off the app.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
all I
it's
do was
totally understandable, right? I mean,
yeah,
it has like a good side to it and obviously a negative side to it. But I have to say, for me, currently, like the positive side of it, that it's licensed stuff, that the rug pull chance is nearly zero. It's never zero, but it's nearly zero, I would say. Is a huge benefit in my opinion. But we will see if they one day make them interoperable or stuff like that, right?
oh yeah, I mean, I think at the latest event in Lisbon, that's something they were alluding to, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why not. We're all adults and we have to make our own decisions.
Yeah, and I mean the whole regulation or the regulatory. No,
Yeah,
that was wrong.
you
The
got it. Yeah,
the whole crypto space and the rules in the US have changed drastically over the last couple of weeks and months. So I mean, there's probably not that big of a backlash if they try to do it. I mean, the backlash from the big IPs and stuff. I totally get that those IPs needed to be like treated carefully. I mean, if you make those NFTs interoperable, that could also backfire in terms of like the big IPs which stay behind those licensed NFTs, right?
right. I mean, I think that VeVe was just so early that it was a miracle they were, able to secure the IPs that they got. And,
Yeah.
with it not being a space that was even flourished at all or fully developed, I'm sure they had a super beta version of the app and they're trying to explain this stuff. So it's just crazy, where it's gone. But once they solidified those initial deals, those might have been 1 to 3 year licensing deals, and whatever the deal is what the deal is. And a lot can happen within 1 to 3 years in this space. And I think what ended up happening is you had, your Cryptoys, you had your McFarlane Digitals come along, and by the time they did come along, some of these IPs may have understood what's going on more. They may have understood like what the people really want more,
Yeah.
and been a little more flexible. So it's one of those things where it's not that you lied, it's that the situation turns you into a liar. Where at one point what you're saying might be true. The IPs were not comfortable with doing X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
Then the next company, they're approaching them again with this idea, and they're like, well, maybe we should, we've changed our stance in the last couple of
Yeah.
years, but the only people we talk to or VeVe, and if we already signed a 1 to 3 year deal, we're not going to revisit that for another year and a half. And here you come, we might be in year 2 of the deal with VeVe, but here another company comes, and that's a priority for them is interoperability. So if they're considering it and they give them the green light, now all of a sudden that's going to make VeVe look like they're lying and saying, no, this IP wasn't comfortable with doing that. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
without an
yeah,
explanation
absolutely.
from the IP, it just leaves us open to interpreting it and thinking what we want. But hopefully they're at the time where now they're circling back to these IPs and these licensing deals, and they're solidifying a better situation and a better collaboration, because I think
Yeah.
that's the main thing missing. I mean, when we look at what was the main catalyst in drawing people into the app in masses within a week, it was the Disney Golden Moments drop. And don't get me wrong, it's never just one direct thing that causes something like that. It is a collaboration with Disney, tweeting that out. It is a combination of them offering Disney Plus for 6 to 9 months or whatever it was, just for
Hmm.
going for the drop. It is the fact that the Disney Golden Moments physically were being placed in the parks at the same time. It's
Yeah.
all of these things that add up. When you get a big boom like that, it's never just one thing that happened, So
Yeah.
we need something like that again, and we need that support and collaboration from the IPs, I believe. And it's again, it's going to be a combination of things that makes this thing explode. It's going to be, technology that is widely accessible by people, that also will allow us to interact with the collectibles in a different way. I've seen stuff out there where they're developing stuff that literally could be put on your fingertips like a band-aid. You have a little
Hmm.
circular band-aid. You can put these little band-aids on your skin, your palm, and all of a sudden you can feel digital objects. You can feel them. They
Okay.
have stuff where you can put a strip here on your breastbone here, different, and then you can feel different, pressure points and
Impact
things.
and stuff.
Yeah, you
Wow.
play football, you can feel the contact a little, just a nudge,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all evolving, but the tech is great, but it's about how cheap can we get it to where, people are buying, just like you buy those nose breathing strips for,
Hmm.
$2-3 in CVS. That's how cheap this stuff would have to be. Oh, go get me a box of 10, and then you're putting the stuff on real quick to play a game,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, when we get there, that's where we're really going to be cooking. It's only the only question is, can VV survive till then?
I mean, so far they proved they can. I mean, I would say worst of the beer market is over, and the next couple of months and weeks potentially look great for the overall crypto market. But let us go back to the collecting aspect. So you've started again with collecting on VeVe with like a little bit of I can make a profit here. I mean, I came from Omi, then started collecting on VeVe, and I have to be honest, my first thought was like, okay, I can make quick and easy money
Mm,
because I've never been a collector before,
mm,
not in my childhood or anything. And
right.
then now I'm here for the community and the collecting aspect. But first it was just because I thought, okay,
Mm,
great IP and some chance to make money.
right.
Um, what is your stance on it? Is it more like the I'm looking out for profit, or is it a mixture between I love collecting on here and want to take some profits if I feel like?
I would say D, all the above, you know. And as far as how it played out, I never really initially came into this to make money because I didn't know if there was any there. It was the
Ah,
same
okay,
as
yeah,
Top
okay.
Shop. Like Top Shop, we were buying packs and stuff like that, but their market, you know, the stuff wasn't going for like too much more than what you paid for it. So it
Mm,
wasn't. It was like, okay, I could maybe double, but I didn't. My mentality was, let me try and keep going for some drops and build up a nest egg of stuff. Because again, sports is different too, to where whether you're pulling a physical rookie card or a digital one, it's a rookie card. So that player's potential has to be realized during the season or as it's
yeah.
happening. So you may not want to sell right away. You may want to, see what happens. But in my case with the app, like when I came on the app, there was no marketplace yet and there were no drops available. So technically, I
Mhm,
got like if you look on my profile, it'll say that I joined March 2021, but I was on the app really in like February. The problem
mhm,
is, all I did was make a profile, and I guess it didn't count anything until you either make a purchase or go for a drop. So my first drop
mm,
was the DeLorean drop. So
yeah,
I basically was on the app, right? I had a profile, and at that time, I couldn't even get any collectibles. Everything was sold out in the market, and the marketplace said like closed for maintenance. So
yeah,
me and my friends were on Twitter like, how the hell do we even get any of these things? So we started finding people on eBay, Macari, and then on Twitter
yeah,
itself that were selling them. So I paid like $150 for my first two collectibles. I got Ultraman and the Dick Sprang Batman. And
mhm,
anything outside of that, people wanted way more than what I was even paying for it. So I paid 300 to get two collectibles. You know what I'm saying? That right now or who knows how cheap. But yeah,
yeah.
it was a risky thing.
At that time, no one really knew that like a parabolic run came
Right.
afterwards, right?
Right. Right. So my mentality wasn't this was my vision was I said this like I'm looking at all the NFTs out there, PFP stuff. Nothing was even 3D like that, much less a licensed brand that I knew. And then on top of
Mhm,
that, I saw this augmented reality aspect. And I'm like, then in the showroom, I'm like, okay, this is some next level stuff right here. And a lot of people don't know what's going on. That's the things I like to get into. But as far as my vision for the app, and as far as like me buying stuff and thinking like I was, gonna sell it at a height of this project, I was viewing like this taking like 10 years.
mhm,
So when the marketplace did open and all this stuff, yeah, the marketplace opened, but it's still all gems. There's no telling when it ever will be able to cash it out. So like at one point my vault value was like 80 something $1,000, or it even went higher than that. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a friend, we went for in that group. We were on the group together in Twitter. So when the drops would happen, we'd all make sure we're awake and all going
mhm,
for it. And my friend, like I didn't he's not a whale. Like he could be a whale on the app, but he's what you would call a whale in real life, right?
yeah, yeah,
But he would like we would all go for drops, but we would not necessarily disclose like what we all were doing. So like the only question is, did you go for the drop? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what I didn't know was he was one of the people that was sitting there like, all right, this comic is $6.99. I'm gonna go for I'm gonna put 100 and something dollars on the app and just keep pulling the lever. Like
mhm,
the mentality was totally different. We weren't even thinking that. We're like, we don't even know what this is, if it's gonna work. Like we don't know.
yeah,
So this guy pops up and he's like, "Yo, I hit the secret rare for Marvel Comics 1, right?" So we're like, "Yo, that's crazy! Congratulations!" Blah blah blah. So we're noticing in the marketplace that like people started listing comics for crazy prices, right? Even though the floor, let's say on Marvel Comics 1 on a secret rare might have been like $300, let's say, it would go from like the listings would go
mhm,
3 to like 5 to like 7 to like 1,500. So it would like get crazy. So I was noticing some people had theirs listed, $30,000, 50,000, all these crazy numbers.
Yeah.
So I was like, he was like, yo, I want to list it. And he was like, I don't know what to list it for. So I was like, people are listing it for all these crazy numbers. I was like, are you really trying to sell it, or you just want to list it to list it? And he's like, I just want to list it. I don't really want to sell it.
Hmm.
So I was like, put it in there for like $25,000. I was like, who cares? Like, just put it in there. So then, like a couple months later, this was when the golden Rush thing happened, or somewhere around there. It was like when that rush of people came. He woke up one day and he went in a group and he's like, everybody pick out something for $100 and I'll transfer it to you or whatever. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I woke up and it sold. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And it's just crazy because it's like, he's the type of person, honestly, that doesn't even need the money.
Hmm.
But, but he'll use that to get into other things. So, like later on, DraftKings and Tom Brady, they did a collaboration with NFTs. So then he would use a portion of that money to make sure he can keep going for that drop until he gets the best thing in that one. And it's like he's just playing with house money the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Insane. Insane.
Huh.
So yeah.
What was like your biggest collectible on drop or so?
Mm, that's a tough one because at the time it might seem like it's the biggest thing, but looking back at where the prices are on the items now, it may not be considered that big of a deal. Um, Maybe Darth Vader. I hit the Darth Vader Ultra Rare on a
Mm.
drop.
Yeah.
I recently hit the Ron English Cathedral tank
Mm-hmm.
on the drop. Um, I have hit a couple of secret rares on the drop. I can't, it wasn't like super notable books
Yeah.
that would like stand out in my head. But
And what would you say is like your favorite collectible on the app and why?
man, that's tough. That's really tough to pick out a favorite.
I mean, you can say two or three if you want.
Okay. Well, now one thing that I've always wanted to have was a VeVe Gold logo,
Hmm.
and I put a lot of work in not to get the logo, but I've just put in a lot of work to where I've seen people kind of come and go and get those logos, and they're not even here. But I would say for me, VeVe Gold logo is one of them
Hmm.
because of the high level of utility on it.
Yeah.
You know, and just as far as like fandoms, man, it's really tough, man. I mean, because I'm a fan of villains, and for so long, certain pieces will be like your favorite because they're just the top of the list for so long. But then something will come along that just really resonates with me, or it's one of my favorite characters, and then they did just such a good job with it that
Hmm.
it's just one of my favorite. But they may not be considered a Grail or someone's favorite, but I'm a big fan of Galactus,
Hmm.
and that drop just really amazed me. Like, wanted him on the throne. Then the whole Silver Surfer thing,
Yeah.
that's just a lot, man. One thing, I mean, it's just too much at this point. I've been asked this question over the years, and it just keeps changing, and it's crazy because they keep bringing these bigger and bigger IPs. Like right now, you almost have to compartmentalize the question to where you might as well be like, well, what's your favorite vehicle on the app? What's your
Yeah. I mean,
favorite villain
there's
on the
so
app?
much right now. Huh?
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
almost have to compartmentalize. Like back in the days, 2 years ago, you could ask that question and it was a very narrow
Yeah.
space. It's easy to
Yeah.
be like, oh, Miles, oh, Vader, or Walt, or but
Yeah.
now it's like stuff is starting to hit home. I'm a heavy Punisher fan. So,
Do
I could be
you
like, oh, one of the
do,
Punishers.
do you while we're on that topic, do you think it's too much inventory, or do you think like the amount of collectibles that is now in the app is a good thing in terms of the possibility a lot of more people and users come into the space? What's your opinion on that?
Hmm. I think it's a situation that when you're a collector, you already know that this is inevitable, because if on the one hand you want something new to be around for a while, that means they're going to have to stay active. And if
Mm-hmm.
they're around a while, whatever that while is to you, by the time you hit year two, there's going to be a lot of stuff dropped. And the
Yeah.
way humans are by nature is like when stuff is scarce and new, that's pretty much a height. That's pretty much a height. And it's only going to go down from there, unfortunately, because the more offerings they give, the more dilution it creates.
Mm-hmm.
So look at someone like Fanable, for example, another new starting point. When they do those first drops, they did a beta test drop. It was a very minimal amount of cases. I think it might have been 50. I don't remember. It was very small. A percentage of those people are not going to open their case at all. Certain percentage are going to open it and put the stuff on the market. A certain percentage are going to have it sent home, and you'll never. So when it came to their marketplace, the command even for the cases might be at a certain price. The books that came
Mm-hmm.
out of those cases a certain price, but by the time they get to the third drop, it's so much flooded on their marketplace now that you're almost overwhelmed. And unless you're going there to look for a specific book, the reverse of that is I'm sitting here with money to spend on a book and I don't know what book I want and I'm just casually looking through the market. Like it
Mm-hmm.
puts you in a weird situation, you know. So in the case of VeVe, with the IPs and the offerings being so specific and detailed and unique, one versus the other, uh, uh Jeremy, what was his name? God, well, we had like Kozik, we had Ron English, I forgot the guy's name, Rogers. He's the one that did the rabbits with the
Ah,
novel.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
All of that stuff from that era, right? You have all of that stuff, and it seems so exclusive and novelty, and it's not in super high numbers. So the stuff just gets a certain look. But now
Mm-hmm.
you fast forward 2 years, we have multiple independent, smaller, whatever you want to call them, these people we're just not all familiar with. And now we see a bunch of collectibles on the app that's not a major IP. So it becomes less novel. It's like not as novel. It
Mm-hmm.
creates
Yeah.
dilution. Even within that niche, it's creating dilution.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where they have to find, that fine line between making the offering scarce enough, but they still have to remain profitable. So it's hard because now your user base, your customer base becomes, they evolve with you. So you can't think that you're still selling to the same person that you were, even though it is the same person that you sold to 3 years ago, because you're banking right now on the people you retained.
Mm-hmm.
You can't bank on the new people, because every time you spend money on trying to bring in these new people, it's not mathing. It's not going to give you the returns that you're looking for. So unless you allocate a percentage of your budget to just always trying to bring in fandoms and just write that off as a loss, you're really reselling to the people that you managed to retain. So
Mm-hmm.
as far as we're concerned, we were all babies and we all are growing. And now you could say we're, maybe young teens. We're 11 turning, 12 turning to 13. You start
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling yourself when you could throw the teen behind your age.
Yeah.
That's what we kind of are now. But the company can't act like they grew and that they're still selling to a 5-year old.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Yeah.
to recognize we're evolving right along with you. And they know that, they heavily keep tabs on what we think, what we say, and all this stuff. And, it's just like Mr. MC once said in the space once. He said the main thing they have to do is remain fast and agile, because the space, the people's wants, the reactions to what you're doing, all of those things have to be addressed in like a really fast time,
Mm-hmm.
because once the next, even though we're all trying, and I think we've again evolved to a place where people not only are perceiving other companies and other products and stuff in the same space. At first, it's perceived as a competition, and whether that was true or not, I think we've all just evolved to a place of understanding, whether it's the companies or us, that yeah, everybody needs to collaborate together because the space is not growing enough with everyone trying to go alone at it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
And
think
why? What do you think is the reason for that? So you oftentimes, I've heard in a couple of other interviews that like physical collectors are kind of not curious about the new ways of collecting, or I mean, to be fair, it's an additional way to collecting. I mean, physical will always exist, but digital is just another way to collect. And with the NFT technology, it's now possible to make to put scarcity behind it. So,
mhm.
what would you say? What needs to happen so that some kind of mass adoption and the physical collecting crowd is open and willing to come in?
um, I put it to you like this, man. If someone has to sell you on doing something, even if you do it, that doesn't mean you're gonna stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of has to happen is it has to just be something that at first is maybe just embedded into something you're already doing where you don't even know that's what you're doing or participating in kind of. It's kind of like playing Call of Duty and not being able to bring over your last weapons and your last skins and
Mm-hmm.
stuff from the last game, and then all of a sudden that is possible. Some people are only going to care about the fact that now it's possible. Some people are going to ask a question and be like, well, why couldn't we do it before and now we can? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
there's this thing called blockchain. Oh, I own my skins now. Oh, I can sell my skins over here. And the culture will just shift.
I mean,
You know?
a first great step is off the grid, right?
Right.
I mean, they have a lot of active players
Mm-hmm.
to my
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, and I mean
Mm-hmm.
that's a great first step in the right direction to
Right.
tap into the gaming crowd, as you said. But please
Right.
go on.
Right. So then you have that aspect of, and it's something that just will evolve with time. It's not all VeVe can do is offer products. It's not their job to become a tech company and provide the tech that's needed to make what they make shine. They have to just make sure they keep evolving with what's possible. Because the more they keep working with independent or innovative people in the space that even have IPs like me, I'm part of the Dynamic Universe, which is
Mm-hmm.
a comic book publisher. And we're looking forward to bringing, some incredible stuff onto the app. All of those things are going to be very scarce. So if out of a out of 3,000 mint run, we might designate 50
Mm-hmm.
random numbers that, you hit one of those numbers, you're going to qualify for a physical.
Yeah,
So on the physical side, it helps us because we're not trying to print 10,000 books and sell 10,000 books.
yeah.
We just might do 100 of them, 200 of them, and they'll be scarce physically and digitally as well.
Yeah,
So,
and also have like a kind of value in the physical space as well because there are just so few, right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, sounds great so far. Um, Before we end the thing here today, any last words? Anything you want to talk about in terms of digital collecting, physical collecting, or VeVe in specific?
Mm, great question. I don't believe time flew by this fast, but yeah, man, it's been an awesome time here. Um, yeah, I don't really know. Let me think about it. I guess,
I mean, let me ask you a question. What
mhm,
kind of IP would you love to see on VeVe? For me, it's Dragon Ball Z. What is it for you? What is your fandom that
mm,
is being missed on VeVe?
I think something that will go over really well would be GI Joe or Transformers. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, especially something like a GI Joe because we're used to playing with those in terms of toys and posing them and already putting them in
Hmm.
scenes.
Yeah,
We're used to having the guy holding the gun and doing it. So when it comes to a lot of the stuff we get on the app, I may not necessarily view that character as something that I've just see posed. If he comes from a movie or something like that, you're used to the character always being in motion. Now if they
Yeah.
come from a comic book setting, okay, I'm used to seeing them in a still frame, in a pose, and all of that. So it resonates. But yeah, I look for that, and then also I would like for them to tap into the horror genre a little bit more, because I would love to make a scene with Freddy and Jason in there.
Mm.
My man Jigsaw on his little tricycle. He's
Yeah,
spooky as
yeah, yeah,
hell.
yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
can you imagine the dioramas with the horror series? Camp
Yeah.
Crystal Lake with Jason, the boiler room with Freddy, and then the the,
Mhm,
the,
yeah,
the
yeah.
bathroom from Saw with the chains and the blood. Come on, this is why VeVe, when if you need help, man, I got you, man. I got you. But right now with the dynamic universe, and I'm lending my talents over there right now. But my ideas, man, is just endless. Forget it. And we also need Predator as well. You know,
Mhm, mhm,
Predator
mhm.
and a
Yeah.
spaceship. Yeah. So
Yeah. All right. Honestly, thank you so much for your time. And I hope for everyone who's still watching, I hope you guys enjoyed that show. Let us both know what resonated with you, and leave a like, leave a comment, and follow the account. That would be awesome. Also, I will link Dr. Strange's YouTube channel down below in the description, so check him out. Stackin' or Slackin' is the comic series, right? You do?
yes, yes, it is, and that's all things strange right here on YouTube. And yeah, the series is stacking or slacking, man. I just go over the latest comic drops best I can, and just let the people know what I'm thinking in my head and what my strategy is, and yeah, give them my opinion on the book and the drop.
Perfect. See you guys.